My name is Nell Haynes, and I'm an anthropologist working with University College London and the Catholic University of Chile. At the moment, I am working on a project called the Global Social Media Impact Study. And the aim of the study is really a comparative look at places around the world and how people are using social media, usually differently in those places, and really how that reflects on the culture and history of each place. So we're looking at 9 different countries, which include places like Brazil, Italy, Turkey, and China. And in each place, we are doing surveys, interviews. We are looking at people's actual social media when they allow us to. And we're participating in the daily life of the communities where we live. People suspect that global things like the internet are actually homogenizing people, but we've found that people use social media very differently in different places. So there's really no evidence that we're all becoming the same, that we all are using media the same way. Our histories and cultures are very much apparent in the way people use social media. In some places where people aren't necessarily, where it's not acceptable for young people to be in public together, for boys and girls to be in public. So sometimes they will use social media to have beginnings of private relationships when their families wouldn't let them see each other in person. There are also people who, for instance, factory workers whose lives are very monotonous, might use social media to sort of project a fantasy world, putting up pictures of nice cars or beautiful homes, things that they can't necessarily aspire to in their real lives, but social media allows for sort of these aspirational things to come out aesthetically. Also, places that have sort of a more visual and expressive culture often are more likely to put lots of pictures of themselves, pictures of them having fun, doing possibly scandalous things, whereas people in other places aren't necessarily as comfortable sharing personal things on social media, but will share memes or links to things like music or short movies, and that's their way of sort of expressing themselves. I think social media has really forced mainstream media to present itself in a way that is accessible to be shared on social media more than anything. For example, music is often shared in social media through YouTube videos or other music sharing programs. Television is often reproduced either through television channels' own websites or through YouTube again. News is constantly linked to on social media. So I think what the real impact it has had is possibly shortening the amount of time that people will pay attention to it, but also forcing it into a sort of medium that can be shared easily. I think social media is already very important in people's lives, and I don't think that that importance will diminish. I do think, however, that the sort of distinction between what is social media and what is not social media is becoming even more blurred as time goes on, so that people aren't necessarily setting aside time to use social media, but it's becoming integrated. People say that their messenger is always on, so it's much like a telephone would have been before. Or they check their Facebook for 5 minutes at a time, but they do that throughout the day. So it's not necessarily a separate realm for people to interact through, but it becomes combined with the rest of their daily interactions. I think social media has influenced the way we digest information. I think we are much more social in the way we look at information, so that when someone reads a news article, it's not enough to just absorb the information, but part of knowing that information is telling your friends, directing people you might think are interested in it to that article, or even sort of showing agreement with a certain stance by hitting like or commenting on a post on social media. But I think that overall, the types of information people are interested in has not changed. We've found that across all of the 9 field sites, the things people do most on social media are gossip and sort of alleviate boredom. And these are things that have been part of human life for as long as it has existed. I definitely use social media myself. For work, it's essential because I'm studying social media. So obviously, an important part of anthropology is not just looking at what people say on surveys or what they say to you in an interview, but to actually see what they're doing and whether their perception of what they're doing is true to what they're doing, or if they're not even noticing that maybe they use social media for certain things, or more present on one than another. And for me personally, because I've been doing a research project far away from where I'm from, it's been very important to me for keeping in touch with friends and family from home, as well as my research partners who are in many different places around the world.